Bill's office and asking for the current reassessment information on Charleston Township. She stated she didn't think it would be right to give it to us since the county board hadn't seen it. So going back to the May meeting, Mr. Sanders was asked about seeing the numbers for 2016. He stated he hadn't seen the list. Mr. Mesker, you told him that it comes from the assessment's office and that eliminates the political control over the office. Mr. Daly then stated that we are not allowed to look at that information. The board is separate from the assessment's office. So what I would like to know is the truth. Is it normal for the board to review, or the board to review assessment figures from the supervisor of assessment's office before they are mailed out? That has nothing to do with our lawsuit. So I would expect an answer. I think the public would like an answer.
To that question.
What?
What's
I
that?
don't know the answer to that question.
You don't know
You
the
don't know if you
answer?
review the tax?
If you reviewed,
No, you asked me, what did
You asked if it was legal or
If
not.
it was legal or not.
no, I'm not saying if it's
That
legal.
was what you asked, though. It was
No,
legal.
I want to know if it's common for this board to review the supervisor of assessments figures before they mail them out. But you did, we do know that, you saw them from 2016.
Not prior to them being published.
Well, we talked about this 2 or 3 months ago. We didn't see those numbers. We saw, it was
Oh, what
it
the,
was the breakdown of percentages or something. It wasn't the individual numbers.
But when you saw those numbers, nothing stood out to you guys? I mean, my gosh.
Percentages? No, I mean,
it's anecdotal.
it's
as
a whole county. I mean, no, we didn't, nothing stood out to us. We're not tax experts.
Okay. All right, well,
We did not see the actual numbers, though. Mr. Massel said we did. We did not see the actual numbers. We saw the breakdown of, I don't know what you call that, but.
There's some numbers in there. I got the presentation from
No,
Mr.
you said we
Becker
saw all the
right
numbers before. We did not.
I would just hope that in the future, you know, if there's something that we come over here and ask that's not related to the lawsuit, that maybe we could actually just get the answers that evening. Is that asking too much?
Well, and that's why we asked you to come to committee, so that you can give us those questions and we can prepare an answer for you. I don't want to give you inaccurate information. And so,
And let's not play gotcha. I mean,
Well, and
we
you
don't know all the
know,
answers to every question
even if you give us
ask.
a response, you know, I can't answer that tonight, but you know, we'll have it at the next meeting. I mean, not everybody can come to committee meetings during the day. I mean, you know, Corey, you know how difficult that can be.
I get it. I get that.
So, I mean, that's all I'm asking is that, thank you.
you bet. Any other public comment? Motion to continue our recess. The second Tuesday of November, I'll have that date for you in a second. The 14th. Yes,
You're adjourning or recessing?
Recess.
continuing the recess.
And there is the publication, the annual publication has that as well as a regular scheduled meeting night. So if there is a separate standalone agenda, both meetings can occur.
So, yeah, that's a big thing I'm looking for, is a
Yes.
standalone agenda for that meeting.
Standalone agenda for the regularly scheduled November meeting,
Right.
in addition to a continuation of the September meeting.
Do you think it would need to be well, let me ask my lawyer. Do you think it would need to be a special meeting?
No, it'll be a regularly scheduled and published November meeting, simply needs an agenda like any other month. And we will also have the recess continuation.
Yeah, because your recess is still the September 12th
Which
agenda.
is limited to the agenda of September.
Right.
We're on the same page.
Okay.
Well,
Then we need
When they-
a motion
when
and
they
second to
reconvene-
recess.
Is there a motion to recess?
they have to adjourn that and then open the second.
Degler, a second. Marvin, roll call, please.
Degler.
Yes.
Eads. Yes. Marvin.
Yes.
Purdy. Yes. Sanders.
Yes.
We're
Shook.
done.
Yes.
Zuham.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Daly. Metzger.
Yes.
So for the purpose of the meeting.
Thank you.
Not tonight.
I wasn't here last month.
Who's on first? The only thing they fixed. Yeah, you got that.
Okay, I have 7 o'clock. We will be reconvening our meeting here this evening. Roll call, please.
Degler. Eads. Here. Marvin.
Here.
Curdy. Here. Sanders.
Here.
Shook.
Here.
Weber. Zuno.
Here.
Bell.
Here.
Coffee. Daly.
Here.
Metzger.
Here. Pledge to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, we give thanks for heroes among us, in uniform or regular dress, who unselfishly give their all, and sometimes give all, to help those in need. May they be called by God or duty-bound, without question or hesitation. Their action, leadership, and courage provide comfort and security to us all. Teachers, police, fire, soldiers, young and old, citizens, heroes. We give our gratitude and pray in the name of Jesus Christ that we too may answer the call when it is our turn. Amen. Okay, since we are reconvening our meeting from last month, there are no minutes to approve.
Chairman, may I make representation?
Yes.
This meeting is reconvened based upon the recess meeting, our regular meeting in September. Their agenda was perfectly proper to combine that with a regularly scheduled meeting. The agenda leaves it somewhat confusing or indicating that it is an agenda that is added to the reconvened or recessed meeting, which would make it an improperly published, potentially an improperly published agenda. The only action items on the agenda are non-time sensitive, and it is my advice that we look at this as a recessed meeting only, with limitation to the items on the agenda, which would basically be the items previously placed, but the action items would be looking towards the approval of the budget and the public comment section. And then we would recess to the next meeting, and in the event that there are action items to be taken, there would be a separate agenda, which would be an agenda for the regularly scheduled meeting that has been previously notified for the month of November 2007. We're ready?
Okay. The Finance Committee has completed a budget and are presenting the same to our county clerk, Sue Reynolds, and it will be on display in her office for 30 days. If you wish to see that budget, it's available there, and it's online. Yeah, it'll be online shortly as well.
And then I believe, Mr. Chairman, we should re-enter the area of public comment. Public comment will be public comment, however, we have had public comment based upon all items of the presentation of the budget to the county clerk at the last meeting.
Okay. So public comment then will be open. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. There's Kirk. Kirk, is that you? Do you want to speak first?
Sure, that's fine. Thank you, Chairman. Members of the board, I presented a proposed amendment to the public speaking policy. I believe the one you have currently allows 0.002% of your county population to speak at a public meeting. After that presentation, I was informed the policy was adopted and was the same one that was used by the City of Charleston. I contend, and I think most intellectually honest adults would agree, a public speaking policy for a population of 21,133, City of Charleston, should not be the same for a county government population of more than twice that of 52,521. By implementing the City of Charleston's policy, we find their policy provides more than double the percentage of citizens the right to speak from their community. City of Charleston population of 21,133 with a 30-minute time frame, 3 minutes each, 10 people get to speak, which is over 0.005% of the city's population. Although I would take the position that policy is also restrictive, it can't be denied their policy offers more than double the percentage of population chance to speak than the Coles County policy. The current county policy, like I mentioned, is 0.002% of the populations. For the reason listed in my previously proposed amendment and those just explained, I would encourage a modification to your policy that at least offers no less than 20 people the chance to speak at a public meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Donasso?
At a board meeting a few months ago, I asked the question, is it okay for elected and public officials to lie in public? And Mr. Sanders, you responded, of course not. So I'm going to ask, is there any single board member that's willing to be an adult in the room and confirm that the position taken by this board on Mr. Becker being an employee of the Supervisor Assessment's Office is inaccurate or wrong? Is there anyone willing to acknowledge that at all in this room? Okay, your silence is an answer. So I guess I'll go to the May 4th, 2015 County Office and Rules Committee, which Mr. Sanders, you were the, I believe, the chair at that time. There was a vote, and you guys voted, it says here, Mr. Daly, move forward the proposal from Bob Becker in the amount of $115,000 for commercial appraisals to the county board for consideration. Second by Mr. Weber. Motion carried, 5 unanimous. Mr. Sanders, you abstained. My question is, why are you voting on bid proposals from Tyler Tech and Mr. Bob Becker if in fact he was an employee of the Supervisor Assessment's Office and she hired him? There was no reason to vote if it was, you voted to bring it to the county board the following week for a vote, an open vote. So was Tyler Tech applying for a job in the Supervisor Assessment's Office too? I'm asking Mr. Sanders, you were the chair at the time.
You went over all this, you got a federal case.
No, I'm not. I didn't go over this. I got this May 4th.
For 11 months you've been going.
You can answer the question or not?
I'm not.
You're not gonna
I would
answer.
suggest that there are allegations in the federal litigation as to the employment status of Mr. Becker.
So basically, you're not going to answer that question. Well, I can only conclude one thing. You guys on the committee, who were on the committee, Mr. Bell, Mr. Weber, I don't see Mr. Weber tonight, Mr. Sanders, you know that he was not hired by Mrs. Biddle in her office. You know that. You know that's a lie. Your silence says everything. You were silent before. I asked this board at the public comment at a former meeting whether or not you all thought that he was an employee or believed that he was an employee of the Supervisor Assessment Office, and that was before we even filed the federal lawsuit. So there's lying, and I am saying this for the public that they know. There's a reason why Tyler Tech had their bid and Mr. Becker had their bid and you voted on it with your committee. And it had nothing to do with Mrs. Biddle's office hiring him. He was an independent contractor. So you know that's true. And I don't know how you guys can sit there and claim that he's not. Shame on all of you. Well, we'll let the court figure it out then, I guess. Shame on you. Just another example.
Annalisa Switzer, did you want to go next?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Annalisa Switzer. I'm with the Coles Progressives. One of the goals of our group is to become more involved in local politics. But today, I'm just going to give the rest of my time to James Donasso because I know he has a lot to say, and 3 minutes isn't nearly enough for him.
So we talked about the May 4th meeting, Office and Rules Committee meeting. That minutes of that meeting wasn't published either on the website. I went back and I have a copy of that. My question was to Mr. Sanders, why did you abstain from that vote on May 4th?
I already know the answer. I already answered these questions.
No, I don't. I don't know why. I never asked you about the May 4th abstention. No one ever has.
No one's ever asked me about that?
No, I think the abstention was the May 12th abstention in the when the board
I
voted?
don't remember May 12, 2015, I'm sorry.
Would you like to see the minutes?
I don't need to see it, why don't you just tell me?
It says unanimous, 5, nays, none, abstained,
Voting on what? What
Sanders.
are we voting on?
I just told you in the last 3 minutes what you were voting on. I'll read it to
And
you.
you know why I abstained.
Why did you abstain?
Because Mr. Becker is an appraiser and I'm a real estate agent, number one, so we deal with each other. And number two, Ms. Becker is an independent contractor for my office, so I abstained from the vote.
So you do know the difference between an employee and an independent
I
contractor?
sure do.
You sure do.
Yeah, I do.
That makes it even worse on your part.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
It's too bad.
So how about the May 12th meeting then? Why'd you abstain there? Same reason?
I would assume it's the same reason if we would have voted on the same thing, yeah.
So you do acknowledge that the Office and Rules Committee made a recommendation to forward the proposal from Bob Becker for a vote at the May 12th meeting?
I mean, I don't, excuse me? Yeah, I mean, I told you why I abstained, so that's why I abstained. So you can look at the minutes and see.
But I just asked you, you did understand that that proposal from Bob Becker that you guys voted on, well here, how about I just read it to you? Will that clarify it for you? It says, number 1, old business. Mr. Daly moved to remove the proposals for commercial appraisal from the table. The motion was seconded by Mr. Metzger. Motion carried. The members reviewed the proposal for commercial appraisals from Tyler Tech in the amount of $517,782. After much discussion, Mr. Daly moved to forward the proposal from Bob Becker in the amount of $115,000 for commercial appraisals to the county board for consideration. Second by Mr. Weber. Motion carried. Unanimous 5. You abstained. No nays. So it says that you guys voted, okay, to forward it to the county board for consideration.
Okay.
So I
That's
thought
why-
Ms. Bettle, I thought he was an employee of the supervisor of assessments. Why is his vote, why are you voting to forward his bid proposal to the county board the next week that you voted on?
So you're asking about an independent contractor and employee?
No, I just asked you why you voted why did you guys vote to have Mr. Becker's bid proposal, okay, for appraisals? Why did you vote to forward that to the county board for consideration?
Well, my state's attorney, I think he's answered this multiple questions.
A proposal was presented in advance to the county board from the Office of Rules Committee. First of all, that is an issue that is now a piece of litigation as to whether or not that created a contract by way of independent contract, whether that was going to create a contract of employment. That is an issue that is up to a court to decide. There are evidence and arguments that can go either direction. I'm not suggesting the answer one way or the other, but there is evidence that can go either direction. Now, and that is an issue that you brought before the federal court and
This item was not brought, the May 12th issue.
issue of employment versus independent contractor is pled in your complaint.
So no one can tell me why his bid proposal was being voted on by the Office and Rules Committee if he was an employee already of the Supervisor of Assessments Office.
The issue is before the court system at this point in time, and it is inappropriate for a governmental body to try litigation within the county boardroom or a council meeting. It is in the courts and it's up to the courts to decide.
All right,
That's
well,
my advice.
Ms. Fiddle said that in her emails that she didn't have a employment contract with him, that, there's no record of him coming before her for any type of interview or anything. So there's no evidence that he was ever hired by her. There's no paper trail, anything. The only paper trail is that he went in front of the county Office and Rules Committee. That's where it all started. There's no supervisor assessment. He has no office, desk. He has no phone number. He's never there when I go in there and I work across the street. He's not there. It's just kind of strange for an employee who works in an office in the county building to never be there. I just don't understand why we got to lie and we just can't clear the air. That's been the problem here. This has been the problem. And then you say we're the problem, when all we want is the truth. Transparency, honesty, and accountability, which is what we're not getting. So, you guys are okay with it?
Thank you. Rob Perry?
I got a couple of questions, and I want to kind of go through, I come over here for 11 months, and we sit here and we ask questions, and you're diligent enough to sit and listen. But what I think what I'd like to know tonight is that for all of the mistakes that you all made, and I don't want to look, and this part I'll stop, if for some reason the county board is sectioned off in so many different groups of people, and you all act independently of each other, I don't feel a consensus that you act as a group at anything. So where I'm going to go is back to knowing that the statutes that you willingly broke and continue to break, and the font size, and all the things that's been wrong, even down to the hiring of all the people, Becker, whether he's an employee or a contractor, all the things that's went wrong. Can anybody from the group of folks sitting around the tables here tell me that you're going to safeguard the taxpayers and you've done something different, or somebody's looking out for the good of the taxpayer? Have you done anything to fix the problems? Have you met together as a group to try to fix things? Or are we just going to continue on down the road like we are? You're going to send out things on a font size that are wrong, and then we're going to argue about whether or not you violated statutes, which we know that you did. Is there anybody at all going to stand together as a group and say, yeah, we're working on it? Anybody would like to comment from the board? Have you done anything as a group to try to do anything about the issues that we brought up? Have you head on done anything at all after 11 months of us coming over here? Could somebody answer me, please?
Well, a lot of us have talked to you directly.
Well, I'm saying though, as a group,
We can't
Lori.
have illegal meetings.
No, I'm
can't meet
asking
more than 3 or 4
you,
people
no,
at a time.
I'm
You guys
asking
know
you
that.
that is there a consensus, there's commissions everywhere. As I look at emails, everything that's going on, there's building commissions and people on this and people on that. Have you done anything at all to try to reconcile the problems we got?
I think
Yes or no?
I think we have tried. What, Mr. Fraser, answer this one question, or Mr. Donas, either one. What does it benefit anyone on this board to lie, steal, all the things you call this? What does it benefit me as a business owner to do those things you're saying we've done?
You're asking me that question, you should be asking yourself. You want me to ask Wild Benefits,
It's
John?
asinine, it's ridiculous.
Are you asking Rob or me?
Why would I do, or anyone on this board that owns businesses and has been in this community for all these years, why do you think that we would just lie and steal and be corrupt?
I don't think there's any
Mr.
lying
Gregg, you
and
know
stealing.
us.
Here's what I'm saying to you though, when you make a mistake, be a big enough man to say I made a mistake and move
Absolutely.
on. And I have not heard anybody in this board say I made a mistake or we made a mistake. Have you ever said that you made a mistake?
Mr. Perry, I believe that with regards to the type font, I think that has been acknowledged that is not the statutory type font from the beginning.
It's just part of the, I beg to differ with you,
And that
sir.
is-
It's just part of the whole sum
Let me
total.
finish my point. And
Mr.
that-
Kirk didn't hear you, Mr. Bauer.
What
I
was it?
believe that the type font was not the statutory size type font. And I don't think anybody has argued that it was a statutory size type font. There has been some conclusions by the assessor's office and decisions made that it was substantially sufficient for this year, but that will be, those are issues that, yes, that's recognized, that's acknowledged, that will be corrected. We might disagree as to the effect of that, but that is an issue that will be acknowledged and changed.
But you said if there was a legal way out, you would take it. We gave you 3, but you didn't take any of them. You were dead set on doing the assessments and rolling the taxes. That's part of our problem. You say one thing, and we find an answer for it, and then it doesn't get done. And to answer your question, I don't know what your motives are, but all I know one thing is Mr. Becker was an independent contractor, so you got to ask yourself and tell us. You owe us the answers. I don't owe you an answer. You're the one who's an elected official. So you work for us, I don't work for you.
You're
So
right.
you gotta tell me why you are lying to us about his status. I don't have to explain to you what your motives are. I don't know what your motives are, Corey. Quite frankly, I'm ashamed of the whole board.
You're ashamed of us.
Yeah, as I think our county's
Okay,
better
Mr.
than that.
Nasso, Mr. Perry has the floor.
I'll just finish up with what I'm going to say. If you make mistakes,
Sure.
be able to stand up and say, we've made some mistakes and let's move forward.
Right.
Most of this could have been taken care of if we just admitted to what was wrong. And the statutes, whether you want to agree with me or not, sir, they've been broken. And we've shown you that they were broken. And they were willfully broken. So my point is that I'd hope that you've learned something after 11 months too, that the people need to be respected and need to be told the truth. And when you make a mistake, you stand up and you take it and say, I made a mistake, and move on. Thank you very much.
Mr. Perry, I told you guys since day one, there was something wrong here. And something needed to be fixed. And don't sit there and say that nobody said anything, or nobody cares, or anything like that. Because I did say, hey, there's something wrong here, we need to try to do something about it.
Thank you, Mr. Shokin, Mr. Perry. Mr. Allen, did you wish to speak again? You were signed up twice.
Oh, I'm sorry. The only comment I'll make, thank you, Mr. Bauer. That's the first I've heard that there's been an acknowledgement on the font size in a public meeting. I appreciate that.
I
Maybe I
thought
missed
that
it.
was from the beginning.
Maybe I missed it, but I do appreciate that because from our perspective, that was an important issue that needed to be clarified. Thank you.
Yeah, no way out.
Mr. Stodden?
Thank you.
Mr. Dukeman?
Well, Rob started something, I'm just going to follow up with it. Months ago, I made a call to the Department of Revenue, to their legal defense, and at that point in time, I asked the question, can you show me where in the state statutes that states the county board has the authority to hire an independent contractor? At that point in time, I was told that I do not find it in here, that I cannot, it's not here. He said, but it is common practice. So is that what's acceptable? Just because somebody else is breaking the law, we go right along and do the same thing? I don't believe that that's the way the law works. So for those people that, maybe you didn't willfully do that, I understand it. The law's complex, and you'd have to be a damn expert to know what it is. But it happened. That's when we should have backed off and done things the right way. Last month I mentioned